Why do I do this to myself? On today's episode, I'm talking about these magnetic bases for your dungeon tiles. I love them so much and I hate myself for it. Hey guys, what's going on? Michael here. So I've got another episode for you, and today we are talking about these. These are 3D printed bases for dungeon tiles, and in particular these are designed to incorporate ball magnets so that the bases kind of snap together and give you a locking tile system. So today we are going to assemble some of these, and I'll actually get some tiles glued onto them. So we're starting out with our 3D prints. Now I've already put some of these bases together, and they have, like I said, a very cool system in which they all kind of snap together. Now I am working on a metal table, so I'll show you in the air here how they kind of hold and grip each other. So these just use 3mm rare earth magnets, and it uses actually 8 magnets per tile. So cost is a factor here, and that's something to consider. The magnets themselves you can buy in bulk on Amazon. There's nothing real special to them. But means that these bases are probably going to cost about $1, $2 per base. So each 3D print consists of 2 parts, a thin piece of plastic essentially, and the actual base itself. Now there are some hollow spots filled with supports on these bases that are there just to save yourself a little bit of resin. They really don't save you much. And the supports have to be, well, they wouldn't have to be, but I'm going to cut them out just simply because I don't want them there. In the future, I may just go ahead and make these bases solid for simplicity's sake, because they really don't save you that much resin, and it would be a far easier print if I could print this without any supports whatsoever. But it's something to think about at least. So I'm just using an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to go ahead and just cut out the supports in these square recesses. When you're using an X-Acto knife, work with a cutting mat if you can, and just be mindful of where your fingers are, because I've certainly cut myself with X-Acto knives, and you definitely want to be careful. Now for this process, I'm using a fresh blade, because as some of you may know from some of my other videos, I typically break the tip off of my X-Acto blades for some of the other things that I have to do with them. So this is a sharp, fresh blade that I'm using to get out all of these supports. Alright, now that we've got all of our supports cut out, and we'll throw these little bits and pieces of resin away, it's time to add our magnets and get this glued up. So like I said, it uses 8 magnets per base, and when you do these, just be careful and push the magnets all the way down into each of their sockets. Otherwise the magnets will jump onto the closest magnet to them, and then they will leap out of your frame. It helps if you have a piece of metal underneath of your base that the magnets are going to want to grab to. So my metal workbench actually comes in handy here. So I've got a fresh bottle of Zap-A-Gap, which is a medium weight CA glue, and that's what we're going to be using to glue these up. Zap-A-Gap works excellent even without an activator. It dries really quick. So we're just going to put some dabs around here, and you want to make sure and not put it on so heavy that when you squish down our little plastic piece, it kind of overflows into the recesses that hold the magnets. The whole reason that this works is because those magnets are able to free float and spin as they get near to other magnets. That way the polarity always sticks them together. Otherwise you'd have to worry about which direction your magnets were facing, and so on and so on and so on. It would be a mess. So just that fast, our piece is now glued up, and as you can see, we are good to go. It sticks to our existing previously done tile base. So that's pretty much it for assembly on these. I'm going to go ahead and crank the music and knock the rest of these out. Alright guys, there we have it. All of our bases are glued up and ready to go, and I'm just laying out to get ready for the actual dungeon tile pieces that we're going to glue on top of these bases. So here's the cool thing about this. These bases are 3D printed, and they are designed to essentially go underneath of 3D printed dungeon tiles, but they don't have to. So with CA glue, I am able to bond my plaster cast dungeon tiles directly to these 3D resin printed bases, essentially giving me a magnetic 3D base to stabilize my dungeon tiles. This is an experiment for me, because up until now I've been putting small pieces of cork under all of my dungeon tiles, and I absolutely love these. I know how much work this is going to add for me. I mean, in reality, it's a 4-hour print to print one set of 4 of these bases, and you know how many dungeon tiles I have planned, of course. So to print all of these is an investment in days and days and days of printing, not to mention the time it's going to take me to just simply cut them off of, cut out their supports, glue them together, put the magnets in it, that kind of thing. I mean, it's a lot of work, but what you get is so incredibly awesome. Like I said at the start of this video, I love these things. and I hate myself for how much I like them, because I know that I'm going to use them. The cork is a great solution. It's super fast, super easy, and it works great, but it's messy. You know, when you lay the cork tiles down and you move them around, you get little pieces of cork which rub off on your table. These, I'm not going to have that issue. So essentially I'm just using the CA glue to glue them down, and if you want to speed it along, you can do what I just did, which is spray one surface with it's called Zip Kicker. It's the activator made by this particular brand of super glue. Zip Kicker works by just instantly drying the CA glue. So Zap-A-Gap offers it if you want to dry instantly. So keep it in mind, but you don't get any play with it. So if you choose to use it, you have to make sure to be really careful when you go to put down your dungeon tiles, because if you are slightly off, they are stuck permanently where you've put them. Otherwise, you'll get just a fraction of a second of play if you just use the super glue directly to the resin. So you can see I'm being careful, I'm lining it up, and when I'm sure it's where I want it, then I press it down and it's pretty much stuck. I found that your instinct is to put down 2 tiles, but it is easier if you do them one at a time. I didn't really try that until the last one that I did, but keep it in mind when you do it, because you can set 1 tile in each corner and you'll get them perfectly center. So that's basically it for assembly on these. Once you get all of your plaster cast pieces glued onto the bases, you can then use something like Aleene's tacky glue to glue wall pieces on these tiles if you're going to turn them into to tiles that have, you know, either a straight section of wall or a corner section of wall. You can also do other things like add scatter terrain onto the top of these, like if you wanted to create something like a fountain or a broken section of wall or a tipped over statue or something like that that was permanently affixed to your tile bases. Now for me, this particular casting of tile is going to be used for jungle terrain pieces. So I have planned to do like temple ruins and, you know, any manner of stuff that I think would be appropriate for that jungle setting. But I want it to kind of be aged and weathered and have a moss overgrown kind of a look. So I thought these cracked stone pieces fit really well for that. So as you can see, we've got them all ready to go. They are able to be repositioned, and because they're magnetic, they will stick to themselves and to the, well, rather, they'll stick to the tiles around them and allow you to create whatever pattern that you need to create. And if somebody bumps into your table, you don't have to worry about your tiles all shifting out of alignment and having to go back and straighten gaps. I think it's a great system. I think it's definitely worth exploring more in the future, and I liked it so much that I thought it was worth sharing with you all. As always, thank you guys for watching the video. I hope that you enjoy it, and that these tiles maybe are going to be something that hits your game table. I will leave links in the description for the STL files for these tiles, and if you like the pattern of the plaster cast pieces by Hirst Arts, I will leave a link in the description for them as well. Make sure to leave me any comments or questions you have, and thanks again for watching. Hey, if you like these videos and want to help me keep making them, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button.